If this channel is anything to go by, you know I love Smash Brothers. I love the different matchups. I love seeing all these different moves from video games that we've loved for years come through, and I love seeing players who can exemplify exactly what makes this game exciting. But with 80 characters in the game, we've had a lot of weirdness, a lot of nonsense, and things that I find to be unfair. I feel like at some point Sakurai just couldn't figure out how to add characters to the game without some silly gimmick, so of course DLC is going to be included in this video, but I'm going to be talking about characters that play Smash Brothers, not like Smash Brothers. Smash Bros that don't play Smash Bros. I'm going to have 3 rules when it comes to deciding who plays Smash Bros the least. First, moves that change the established rules of the game that we've had for years, mechanics that feel especially unfair, and overall vibe you can kinda tell just from playing them. If you enjoy content like this, make sure to subscribe. We're trying to get to 2,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and we're getting closer and closer, and I'd appreciate it. So let's get into it. Now, I'm not exactly hating on the fact that Sakurai wanted to add FGC characters to the game. I feel like if you're going to make a platform fighter, that adding characters from video games that have been known for years makes complete sense, and having Ryu makes so much sense. I think it was extremely hype when he was added in Smash 4, and I didn't really mind that we had more and more of them come through. Sure, Terry was a little bit at left field, but since Smash seems to be pretty similar to King of Fighters, it's not that crazy. My real problem is auto turnaround feels nuts. Sure, it might make sense in the context of trying to make it so it's similar to Street Fighter or Tekken or whatever, try to make it so you're always facing towards your opponent. I kinda understand the thought process, but having anything in Smash be automatic is crazy, and having something that makes it so that you can just mash like random buttons, and if a person's close to you, you actually hit them and get full combos is nuts. It's why I think that Ryu, while he does have this mechanic, is probably the most fair when it comes to using just auto turnaround. I still think Ryu's a better character than Ken, don't get me wrong, but with his mashing tools being less insane than Ken's, I do think that I find him to be the most Smash Brothers of the 4. And that's only by a little bit. I just think that Crescent Kick with Ken, his jab combos at low percent, and his combo game just without even involving his projectile is crazy, and being able to mash on certain characters makes him very obnoxious for a lot of people. While he does have a bit of inconsistency because his up B makes it easy to fall out of it, and his recovery is of course not very good, I still find it that people hate Ken for a good reason, because being mashed on is nuts. Of course, Terry being able to mash just like Ryu and Ken, but also having a comeback mechanic in Go, making his combos even more devastating, is probably extremely broken, and just by vibes probably would be number 1, but then they added the demon himself, Kazuya. Everything I just said, just from the mashing, from the being able to pressure for free, the auto turnaround making it nuts to get around them, cross-ups being impossible, is exemplified especially with Kazuya having the best anti-air combo tool move in the game, low-key, Electric Wind God Fist. It goes through everything. It powers through, I feel like, just swords. The invincibility dash mixed with it makes it so neutral is stressful against him, and he kills really hard. He kills very early. His combo is nuts. He has a recovery more than the other ones. It feels like Kazuya is just the peak of this type of character, and I feel like is what makes people not want to like the FGC at all. No one hates Ken and Ryu more than they hate Kazuya. If you hate Ken and Ryu, it just makes sense to hate Kazuya. And I think that we're gonna see Kazuya at the top of this list, at least in this category, but we'll see if I decide to make him the number 1 choice for the character who plays Smash Bros. The least, because he just invalidates characters so much and tells you, no, you can't press buttons. No, you can't be near me. Even if you're comboing me, you better hit me a lot. You better kill me, even though I'm heavy, and I have a comeback mechanic on top of that, and I do more damage when I have it. I don't know what they were thinking of Kazuya, but they just put everything I hate about FGC into one character, and it's why Kazuya is the most broken of them. The next category of characters are characters that warp the match around them. These are characters that say that their game plan is so polarizing and broken that you can't ignore them. You might not be able to power through them unless you play specific types of characters. because of course having 80 characters means we have weird matchups existing. And the first one I'm going to be putting on this list as the most fair is Snake. Now I do think Snake is top 3 in the game. I do think Snake's grenades are incredible. They make it so he pretty much dictates the match from second one, being able to pull a grenade, put a C4 down, and just have projectiles you have to deal with constantly. But I will say getting in on Snake is still rewarding. He still doesn't have the best disadvantage. He still has to mix up a lot. His recovery is edge guardable. He's very easy to combo once you get past the percent that he can do put grenades. He's actually is one of the easiest characters to combo. He still has a skill gap when it comes to just how you play him. He's like, I think he's very rewarding to be a great character to solo main. I still think he's not easy, but he's definitely not hard enough to dictate saying he's one of the hardest characters in the game like people believe. I think Snake definitely dictates the pace of the match, but with how much work he actually has to put in, plus some matchups being really weird for him like Mega Man, Inkling, even the heavies, I still think that Snake plays more Smash than the rest of this list. Same thing with Min Min, which I think is going to be second lowest on this list. I feel like she's probably the most hated character when you get to top level, but doesn't have as many reps as a lot of other characters because she's very awkward to learn. Once you do learn her, she has extremely polarizing moves, the best range in the game, the best ledge trapping in the game, the easiest edge guarding in the game, and does insane combos and damage. But you know, disadvantage makes it so that she does have to play more Smash than others. She still has to fight herself out of the corner. She still has to fight characters who can mess up her neutral. And I still feel like, as broken as she is, there is some work to be done there. Now, it's an extreme example because I feel like having that much range warps the game in a weird way where it feels like, okay, the big thing is that, hey, the range I have means that once you get in, you can destroy me. But it's so much range that how do you actually get in as certain characters? I don't really know. It's still true though. Once you do get in on Min Min, you can destroy her. She doesn't really have a combo breaker. She doesn't have a good way to get down other than down air, which is still a really good move. And she does take a lot of damage, even if she's a bit heavy. But I still feel like that is Smash Brothers, even if it's a messed up version of it, and she's still top tier and one of the best characters in the game, even if I don't think she's that unfair. This next one, I wouldn't be surprised if people put as their #1 most unfair character in the game because people think that he is the best character in the game with losing no matchups. According to some people, I think Sonic makes so much sense. His spin dash is nuts. He does a lot of damage with his combos. He can forward smash you with fully charged forward smash with no risk and edge guard you for free. He can always get there. He can always chase. I think as much as I will say that Steve is better, I get when people say that Sonic is the best character in the game because there's not much he can't really do. You always get the pressure of just passing this because if you do get hit by spin dash, it's not like you take 10 or 15 or even 20. You can just straight up die sometimes, and then he keeps pressuring you and he'll always be able to chase you, and his tech chases is nuts. And if he starts camping, how do you approach him? It's so hard for some characters, like literally impossible. Spin dash being invincible is such a big thing. Even without being able to shield cancel like in Smash 4, it makes it so you mistiming it or trying to make a read on the Sonic or even just placing yourself poorly means you get hit and take a full combo, which could lead to more and more damage. I think he does have the skill gap of understanding the intent of your opponent that people don't really think about. It's not like you're going to be fighting bots constantly that will just spam moves and hope they hit you. They're going to be people who place themselves very well, position themselves well. Characters with low lag can still use it to bait you to spin dash in, like Fox and Roy and Rob. But I still think when you do understand how to read your opponent's intent, this is one of the best characters in the game at just stopping your opponent from doing what they want. But of course, I can't talk about Sonic without talking about Steve. Everything I said about Sonic, where he dictates the pace of the match from the beginning, has a move that makes it so you can't do what you want all the time, and destroys you for getting hit once, is brought up to 10 with Steve. Putting blocks on the ground is such a bad mechanic in Smash. Making platforms is crazy. In a platform fighter, having that control and space and that pace of the match dictates so much when it comes to neutral. It doesn't even matter that he's slow because he has moves that move him so quickly with minecart that he can just make up for it by pressing buttons that do a ton. This isn't even including the fact that he can do nil. It's not including the fact that he can do zero death combos. It's not including the fact that he has a way to get out of true confirms. It's not even including the fact that as a character like this, with mining resource being a thing, he can get better resources on competitive stages. It's not even past all of that, but the fact that you can place a block on the floor feels like you're cheating. And I feel like Steve has so many tools to just dictate the match that you just have to completely outplay him to beat him. There are characters that can. I feel like there's characters that do very well with the fact that his mobility is tied to minecart. I still think there are characters who break blocks very well, but he still always has something in the back pocket that's cheating. And I feel like Steve is close to being the #1 pick for sure of the character that plays Smash Brothers the least. With all that being said, who is my pick for the biggest cheater in Smash Bros? It's Steve. You know it's Steve. Everyone knows it's Steve. Steve has everything. Zero to death combos, ridiculous mechanics, breaking blocks, like dumb moves, extreme. Like I don't even think I could even joke and say like, oh, it was probably Kazuya, who I still think is stupid, or Luigi, who I still think is dumb. No, it's Steve. Steve has everything that you would ever say is dumb about Smash Brothers, and people have quit the game because of him. It's not like I will quit the game because I still love the game and it's still fun, but man, I don't know what they were doing. I don't know what Sakurai is cooking, and I hope that he never comes back, at least like this. Having the biggest game of all time be represented in Smash is fantastic, but it is the biggest flop I've ever seen. It's bigger than Brawl Meta Knight, bigger than Bayonetta in Smash 4. I think Steve is insanity.